I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 13th meeting, 2019 meeting of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors. And Joanne, could you call a roll, please?
Of course. Director Larver?
Here.
Vice President Michelson?
Here.
Director Feldman?
Here.
Director Reynolds is absent. President Coverdale?
Well, he's
Yes.
already gone. Okay.
And Vice President Michelson, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go Giants. Oops.
Oh, yeah, John says.
Well, welcome. Nice to see everybody on such a pleasant evening. I don't have any speaker slips. Any members of the general public like to speak? I see a oh, no, it's an agenda. All right. So the first order of business tonight is the consent calendar. Oh, look at that. I got a spider crawling out of my book. Joanne, did you do that on purpose?
No.
Oh, wow, Michelson, you guys in your lap.
Well, let him outside.
Is that a protected species?
He's got an orange hourglass on his stomach.
Yeah.
Oh, you just got him.
Oh, I rolled right over him.
His binder was back by your office, Dave.
Let the minutes reflect it.
Could we just have a moment of silence, please, for the environment?
He's getting
Spider
everybody.
juice is like that. Is that like Beetlejuice?
Okay, so, consent calendar, are there any items on the consent calendar that any directors would like to pull or discuss? So I would entertain a motion.
Yeah, no, it was my month for the claims. They appeared in order.
Great.
So that said, motion to accept.
Second motion.
So it's been moved by Vice President Michelson and seconded by Director Feldman that we approve the consent calendar as presented. Roll call, please.
Yes. Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Were there any meetings attended, or are there any director comments that would like to be presented or made?
Yeah, you know, it's been, I did go to Bosco meeting. As I'm sure staff probably knows, by the time I get here, you know, the Bosco meeting's pretty far removed, but the Bay Delta plant just keeps shoved further out. You know, we're talking 2021, really. But in the meantime, it's becoming a tool of convenience to stop any development, because without resolution of the Bay Delta plan, agencies are reluctant to issue will serve letters to bigger developments because of the unknown. And it's what the hell's his name now? Your friend from the Tuolumne River Trust,
Yeah.
who is using that as a tool.
He's a good guy, though. He's a really good guy, and he's a good canoeer.
He's a brilliant strategist. So by slow rolling the Bay Delta plan, there's going to be a 2-year period of unknown, and they're, oh, sorry, but we can't issue will serve. So it's serving Dreckmeyer's purpose to stop development. So that's the sinister side of the Bay Delta plan being slow rolled. Anyhow,
But
are you? Well,
I'm keeping up on that.
Yeah.
I've known it in our office too.
yeah.
but,
Okay.
I don't-
All right. I'll stop.
but the positive side of the Bosco meeting was Calaveras is 66%
Yeah, and
full.
that is in here. So
Yeah, that's
we
wonderful.
got really lucky that it was completed in a year, in a good rain year. So that made a
pretty full.
huge difference. You look at the San Francisco storage numbers. I mean, we are set. I mean, according to Steve Ritchie, I mean, he said this in the past, it could not rain a drop for the next 3 years, and we would be okay. That's how much storage they have.
96% of system storage. It's great, really great news. And we're not using much of it, which is even better news. Okay, general business. The first order of general business is a very exciting project, and I notice that our consulting engineer is here. It's the Pillarcitos Creek Crossing Water Main Replacement Project. It's the award of contract for engineering services with EKI Environmental and Water, Inc. for preliminary engineering design. Oh, James,
Good evening.
how are you?
Steve Sears backup. Very good. Thank you. So we have two water mains that feed downtown Half Moon Bay and our customers to the south. One of which is the Main Street Bridge that was replaced via HDD. And we have another one behind Safeway that goes from the Safeway parking lot over to Pilarcitos Avenue. And it's an 8-inch cast iron main. It's an unknown condition, and if it fails, unknown location, and if it fails, it's going to be a big problem for the district. We can turn it off if it does fail, but we're not going to be able to repair it due to the location of the water main being in the creek there. So we have asked EKI to do some preliminary design for this, to actually do HDD underneath the creek. Initially, back in 2016, the district did a preliminary design of hanging a pipe on the Pilarcitos footbridge there that's owned by the city of Half Moon Bay. And after looking at the construction of that and the difficulty of coming to terms the district would be comfortable with and the city would be comfortable with, we think HDD is the best option. And EKI's proposal for preliminary design is 104,600. And if you have any questions, me and Steve and Dave are here at your pleasure.
I have a question. I found figure 2 to be very confusing. And I could understand the drill exit thing, but what was confusing to me is it appears that there's like an 8-inch pipe going up along Pilarcitos, and then it appears that it crosses the creek or something, I don't know.
Oh, over here.
And then there's like an abandonment part. I don't know, the whole thing just looked really, I couldn't make
Can I give it a try?
heads or
Yeah,
tails
no,
of it.
do.
So abandonment, they're talking about abandoning that section of 8-inch water main that is in the thin blue line.
Okay,
And then you got the thick blue line, and that would be the direction of the drilling. And then you've got the dotted lines because they have to weld the sections of HDD or high-density polyethylene, HDPE, together, and they have to
I'm on the
lay it
back
out.
I'm on the back page. Is it different?
So it's laid out behind Safeway and it'll get pulled towards.
in,
It's
isn't it?
it's two different ways of doing it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can pull it from either side.
Oh, so you
Oh,
haven't
okay,
decided
got it.
on which side, because I was a little confused too. It looked like you had
Yeah, right.
layouts on both
Yeah.
sides.
It's an alternative
Okay,
when you
okay.
look, that's the point of the pre-design study. So we can figure it out, and Safeway, we have to talk to Safeway if we're gonna use that. And what are the neighbors gonna think if we string it out along the street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you leaning one way or the other, or?
No.
Okay,
no,
so
no,
two-
that's why we're
Too
doing it.
preliminary.
Yeah, right. That's the point.
Yeah, okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
No, that's why we're here.
Cool, all right. Please.
Yeah.
So this is one of two lines that serve everything south of 92.
Sure.
And if either of them failed, we'd depend on the other. But they're one's half the diameter of the other. Is that an issue? And should we be looking at the capacity of that? I mean, I understand that the pipe going to it is small, but, in the future, maybe that would be something we'd consider wanting to upgrade.
I don't know that. John is the one that's doing the modeling. I'm not totally familiar, but the large one's 16-inch diameter, right? That's the main into town, which has its own reason for being that size. It promotes not too much head loss and easy ways to get the water to go back and forth. Here, I don't know if the connection, that's why I'm not familiar enough with the model. I don't know if the connection here could anywhere equal what a 16 did, because you've got to do
No,
what.
it can't, but I wonder if we should be, since
Well, we're,
obviously going under the creek is expensive, and I'm just wondering. if
that
we
could be
should-
part of our evaluation, would be
I
what
don't- is it?
what diameter. I forget what diameter we were going to do.
8 inch.
8 inch, yeah. We can certainly look. As part of the
it's-
pre-design, we can look at that.
I'm not sure that, given all the piping around it, that upsizing it would make much of a difference.
I don't think so.
But we could model it.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple enough to do.
But if you ever had to increase the rest of it, then that would be
Right.
the most expensive piece, so, and once you put it in the ground, it's a
There.
fixed cost. So,
Yeah.
That's where the cost is, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can take,
Yeah, we could look at that.
yeah, we'll look at that. That's easy enough.
Good point.
Sure. Consider it added to the scope. For the same price.
Oh, yeah, that was,
Wait,
where did that come, yeah.
Patrick, we're going to need some backup on this oral contract.
It's on the tape.
Okay, all right, cool.
Note this day.
All right. Every time he shows up, I like him better.
So we're looking for you to authorize the general manager to execute a professional service agreement with EKI for this work in the amount of $104,600.
So moved.
I'll move to approve that.
Well, then I'll
Who
second
was
it.
fast? Okay. It's been moved by Director Larimer and seconded by Vice President Michelson that we authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with EKI Environmental and Water, Inc. for preliminary engineering design services for the Pillarcitos Creek Crossing Water Main Replacement Project for a sum not to exceed $104,600. Could you take, would you like to discuss the motion? Could you take the roll?
Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes. Thank you very
Well,
much.
Jim, while you're there,
Thanks, James.
this is sort of tangential. EKI, once again, has done a good job of, I think, defining the scope of the project and presenting the details, et cetera. It makes it easy to understand. This makes like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these that we've had look-see at. So my question is, will these lead at some point in the near future or sooner to actual physical construction projects that will be going like crazy here in the community? Because I still don't get that sense that we're making tracks yet. So I'm just asking, it's just sort of an idle question.
Yes.
Okay. You can give me that with certainty.
Wow.
It's coming.
Yes.
You put it in green,
Yes.
I know, on your.
Yeah, I think if you look
No,
at
I
the-
did, I saw the green, I'm just hoping, keep wishing.
If we could think of a way to make, say, Caltrans go faster, or
They're always
or the
the
county go
Sure.
faster, they've all thrown us
curves.
curveballs in comparison with the way they've
Yeah.
worked with us in the past. I
Oh.
guess everybody's just getting more sensitive to liability and things like that. I don't know, but they have thrown requirements at us that we haven't seen before.
See, we're not
We've
aware
been
of that, I
dealing with
mean,
those
I'm
on
just
some of those
asking. So you're saying the
projects. Yeah.
process
Yeah.
is extending, things are taking longer to actually get to go, even though we have the basic, is there a way to define and show that in some form that gives us the insight into what may be in the way of these things, or what are the milestones? We have the one-page summary or the 3-page summary that says things will start at such and such a time. I'm just trying to understand. I can't get the window on. It's gonna be hard to spend $6 million this year, and if these things are gonna keep blocking us,
Yeah.
that's all I'm just trying to.
We have, with EKI's
Yeah.
help, we've prepared kind of a critical path schedule that
Yeah.
includes all of our projects. So,
Share it.
we're trying to get better at anticipating and working up front to be ready for some of these requirements.
That'd be
whether
good.
it's
No, is there a way to
CEQA or coastal
present
development
that
permits.
in a format that we could understand, so I won't be nagging
Yeah.
You're not
about
nagging.
this?
General
Because
reminders.
if there are things that are now bubbling up that make it tougher to get forward on this stuff, we should know. If people are being more insistent on things that they didn't want before, it means that we're changing the ground rules a little bit.
Right.
And we have to be understanding and make sure we're clear on that being part of the thing that you may be facing, and also see if there's anything we can do to give you whatever you need to make it go faster. I mean, we'll do whatever to
Yeah, that's
hold
a-
this off. That's really the bottom line.
That's a key issue with the CIP, is how do we execute these projects? And
Right.
as we started talking about, when we retained EKI last October, we
Right.
started talking about this issue. Now, if you look at the EKI project summary sheet, we've awarded $580,000
Right. No,
in
that's-
engineering work,
Exactly.
and now we've got surveying. So, I mean, these projects
And we
have a lot to
started,
them.
there's a shovel in the ground today at Ferdinand.
And
Okay.
yeah, and there are a number that are in the pipeline that will definitely happen. So we're
Okay.
going to put the Stone Dam pipeline out to bid within a day or two.
Okay.
If everything falls in place with San Francisco, that could execute. We
we've got 700,000 in for that, but
Okay.
it could well be twice that, we don't know when the
Right.
contractors get hold of it. So we've got a number of things that, once the designs are through, we can pretty easily execute, the Grandview piping project. But I think that's really the case that the staff needs to make for the board, and we talked about doing that in September, to basically convince you that that we're going to execute these projects that you have raised rates to collect the money for, and that we're not just going to be accumulating reserves. So
That's fine.
we want you to understand it better, and we plan to do what you're asking.
Okay, no,
in September.
again, just so we have some clarity into the process for doing that, and what may be in your way, and what looks like it's not gonna have any things in the way, et cetera. That would be great. Yeah. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
you might share that chart with us, so we could see.
We're
No, that's what I think.
we're currently working with our
Okay,
staff.
that's,
Yeah, that'd be great.
that answers my
So that we get it.
concern, and hopefully we'll see it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because almost October, it'll be a year, right?
Oh, a year for us, yes.
Yes.
That's right.
No, I mean, I'm happy we're doing this way, because I think there's just a fighting chance of making these things happen, but I'm still not fully aware of how
Yeah.
it's gonna actually happen.
What we're projecting. And
Okay,
come September, as a team here, we'll be able to
okay,
show you.
we'll
You
look
might
forward to that.
might
Thank
call
you.
it the Feldman factor chart, or, something
I gotta
respectful
come
like
up with
that.
something first.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it would be great.
Thank you. Sorry.
And are you next up on the next issue?
Mary's going to give me a
I'm
break.
gonna take
Oh,
that
good,
one.
Mary.
I'll be right back.
Cool. Okay, Mary. And feel free to take the podium if you'd prefer. You don't have to, but you could.
I'll just stay here, but.
Okay, all right.
So as part of our capital improvement program planning with EKI, we asked EKI to help us to develop an approach to replace the 12-inch welded steel pipe that goes on 92 for 12,000 feet. So this has been a problematic pipe for us. It's one of the oldest pipes in the district. It was the original raw water pipe that came from Pelosius Reservoir to Nunez, and then after the Crystal Springs project went in and the new pipe that takes raw water down, it was repurposed to serve the about 49 services along 92. So over the years, we've had a lot of leaks, a lot of problems. In 2017, as you recall, we did an emergency repair on the Cosolino property around La Nebbia. We also, at that time, acquired easements from the Cosolinos for extending on their property. But at this point, we've met with EKI, and we're trying to figure out how can we best get the alignment for this pipe, and if we can avoid 92, if we can avoid the utilities along 92, because everything's right there, the gas pipe that brings.
main thoroughfare.
Yeah, yes. So as a first step, EKI has recommended that we get an aerial survey and prepare this a topographic and boundary map, and then we can sit and we can lay out what might be the best place to put the pipe, where we could potentially get easements if needed. What would, minimize our construction costs. And then we can get a plan to start putting this in phases. So EKI have found Odell Engineering, and they have a proposal where we would spend $77,000 for the aerial survey. What we know about this is that this is a standard approach for this type of a project on a busy highway.
Yeah.
So
Surveying, you have it right.
and EKI also looked at other firms that could possibly do this work, because we were saying, wow, this is very expensive for surveying, but we didn't, but one of the other parties they contacted, they wanted over $100,000 for only a a portion of what Odell is going to do for us.
Yeah, no, that's a bargain.
Yeah,
And they're
It's
expensive.
expensive, but it's a bargain.
Yeah.
but the pipeline's expensive too, so.
Comments? Input?
Yeah, I had a question. So, I mean, this contract is for 100,000, and that's what the other firm said, so I didn't see, where was the difference?
No, this contract.
77.
77.
Plus 20.
Plus 20, but we would have the 20 regardless, because that's for us going and getting, in doing title searches to do easements.
Ah,
So theirs is 100 plus
Is that
20.
the task that we're doing?
Somebody will do it.
Yeah,
So that's the cost of title reports. We'll probably hire somebody else to do some of that research.
So that's another additional cost that isn't here, because there was a significant.
Well, we have a
task
lot, what do we have in the CIP for this project?
we have like
3 million?
3 million.
So we know, and so that's our placeholder at the moment for this project, but
Yeah,
this first step, mapping, identifying the easements, identifying the owners of properties that we may need easements through, that's a complex and expensive effort, and this is just a small piece of that. This is just a surveying. So we didn't come with a sort of a comprehensive estimate of tasks and budget amounts. We could do that, but this is a first step.
Okay, well, so they'll run the aerial, they'll take pictures wherever they do it. then they
Aerial is a.
Plat it, they put
yeah,
it into a big lawyer plat. No, this is expensive stuff, it's pretty interesting.
But it's cheaper than ground surveying,
Oh, my
cheaper and
God.
safer.
Yeah. I think the other thing was that
No, it
the
is. I
other,
mean,
the other
it's-
part, the other quote was just for
That's for
the
the
aerial and not for the putting together the base, the mapping and the, so
And-
it's a big chunk.
Would you like
Yeah.
me to?
You can't get in Google on Earth.
We
picture
tried,
and-
I mean, we
and
did do
enlarge
that.
it.
We've tried to use Google Earth, but we need more.
Because they got a Google Earth right here.
Yeah, right, you do, you just put it there. We should just draw a line and say, build it. I wish we could.
No, I'm kidding.
long
Just
as
to
you
be
take the
clear,
line
the
over.
the aerial photo needs ground survey also to, where trees are in the way, control when the plane flies over. There's a whole technique
A
for
drone couldn't do this either.
I think, not, yeah, close though, close, because it is happening, drones are. So there's that. The title search and everything, the surveyor's going to do it, identify what title reports, and go get them. We just, the payment of it is a big number, so we didn't want to run it through the surveyor. We just pay them directly, that's why that money's there. The analysis of that is really the surveyor plotting those property lines on the aerial map. Then and that allows us to, we could do this, we could do that, we can show you, we can show ourselves, all of that. And then that survey then becomes the base maps for our design.
Right.
So, we get more out of it. And so that then, helps with the design. We've got to, because this one here, we're going to have to either retain another engineering firm or it's a big job.
Yeah.
A few $1 million. Yes, sir.
Is the title search a fee at the county, or do we have to hire a
Title
title?
company.
a
Title
company
it
to
is
do
a
the
title
search?
company.
So that's actually an unknown cost.
It's about 500 a parcel. And how many parcels are there? There's a lot of parcels.
Yeah,
And they're gonna identify the parcels, and we're just gonna pay for the title search.
Right.
correct.
And do we get to select the title companies too? 'Cause
Sure.
there's more than
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that point.
We haven't
Decided
picked
that-
one yet. Yeah, we could send one or another.
Title,
That is
Right.
like 40 parcels or something.
Something like that.
I know, I'm
Yeah,
just-
there's a lot of-
Yeah, that's the math, right.
And we
That's the
don't,
math.
we don't have perfect records of easements,
No,
so we need to
I
go
see.
back and find which parcels have CCWD easements on them. We don't necessarily have records of that retained here.
12,000 feet, huh?
Yeah, it's a ways.
12,000 feet through potentially a lot of parcels. The Highway 92 right-of-way is really narrow, which
No, it's not.
limits our opportunities to put the pipe in the right-of-way. And we're trying
No.
our hardest to avoid shutting down 92.
Just run that pipe on.
Even trying to do construction.
Good idea.
Just run the
One-way
pipe,
tracfic at night is
run
very
the pipe on
disruptive.
top of all the heavy loaders that come through and they'll all be stacked up, just run the pipe right on top.
Quit that here.
That'll be it, you don't have to dig a hole. Just run it right across the tops of all the.
Right. Some of it is pretty straightforward, and there are other parts that are really challenging.
Oh, my gosh, it's a nightmare.
No, I just only want to think about it.
We kind of hope to use a lot of for branch roads if we can get easements.
So we can't just go right down the middle and follow that yellow line? That's-
Follow the brick road.
We could. Yeah, I mean, as I like to say, it's only money.
Yes. of
Yeah,
course.
it's just money.
I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It goes past it, yeah.
Unfortunately,
He must be right
that
about it
purse
here.
isn't open.
Yeah, that's not that much, no.
It's not on my watch. Okay, so other comments or input
This
or
is
motion?
12,000
or-
feet.
That's 5 miles, what is it, 3 miles? It's a little under 3 miles.
5,280 a mile, it's 12,000, it's
Yeah, a little
12,000
under
feet.
3 miles.
So it's over 2.
5,280 feet per mile.
per
Yes,
mile.
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, 5,280
12,000
feet.
feet.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
2.5 miles,
5,280.
something, 3 miles.
2 miles plus change.
Of course, by the time
I thought it was 12.
Yeah, it might be.
they never go like the crows, do they? They never
Smooth
follow
water
the
there.
crows.
I move we accept this proposal.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Feldman and seconded by Vice President Michelson that we approve the professional services agreement. We authorize the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with Odell Engineering to provide topographic and boundary surveying in order to prepare a base map for the design of a replacement potable water pipeline adjacent to Highway 92 in a not-to-exceed amount of $77,000. Could you take the roll vote?
Director Larimer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes. And I might make a request.
Yeah.
When the surveys come in, I personally think that wall back there is really blank. So I'd really love to have a version at scale that would fit on that wall, that would demonstrate those alignments. I think there's plenty of space,
We got it.
and it would help us keep focused on the project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, other people may disagree with that, but I would really appreciate it. Yes. Item C, notice of Crystal Springs Emergency Pump 1, replacement and approval of purchase of a spare pump. Boy, you couldn't be more timely with this.
I'm working on it.
Good
Thank you
job.
for recognizing.
Good job.
So when we put in the pump control valves at Crystal Springs, we were taking a real close look at the pump performance, and we noticed that pump number 1 was producing about half the water that it should be. So we went into quick action and talked to Dave, and Dave has used his right to waive the board approval for an emergency and authorize pump repair to pull the pump and look at the shaft and tube, and then once they looked at the shaft and tube, we realized that we were going to need new shaft and tube. This is the tube that carries the water up, the shaft is what spins the pump. So we didn't get a bid until the last board meeting, the day of the last board meeting, so we didn't have time to get it on the agenda. So one of the things we're asking for you is, or we're doing is reporting to you that we did that under an emergency to procure the shaft and tube. And we had a spare pump, luckily, at Crystal Springs, thanks to the board being so forward-thinking and staff. And once we put it back in, of course, we're going to need a new spare pump, and it takes about 14 weeks for a new spare pump to come in. So we're also looking for authorization to purchase that pump. Sole source with Pump Repair Service. They are the sole exclusive distributor of the flowway pumps. So if we get second and third bids, it's kind of a silly exercise because they're going to have to get quotes from PRS.
Wow.
So we're asking that you authorize the general manager to purchase this spare pump and the work that's already been done. Pump 1, I'm happy to say, is back on and humming along. And the total amount of this for the shaft tube pump and the installation is $153,000.
Are the tube that was clogged, are these the like 120 or 140-foot tubes that go down?
There's 13 sections of 10-foot conductor tube,
130 feet.
much like you'd see in a big ag well.
So we had to pull that whole deal, and it's just trash?
Yeah, it was pretty corroded. There were some holes developing in it, and in the shaft, there's these things called spider rings that center the shaft inside the tube, and those were moving around and had serious wear inside the tube, so the tube was not really reusable.
Is it stainless steel, that material?
No, in the past, I think the district has done epoxy coated, but one of the problems with epoxy coating is if you scratch it or you nick it in any spot, the corrosion will attack in that spot concentrated. So with working with other pump experts, we've gone with just raw uncoated steel. And for this installation, we actually put anodes, sacrificial anodes on each other stick to see if that will help.
Is there any recycled value to these pipes?
Scrap,
Really?
a little bit, very little.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Because I don't think they were that inexpensive in the first place,
No.
those pipes. Wow.
So either I've been here a long time, or these things are wearing out. It seems like it's pretty regular, I mean, regular occurrence. Every few years, it seems like we're replacing a pump at Crystal. I mean, is this,
This pump was replaced about 11 years ago.
yeah, I've been
And
here 18, so yeah.
Due to the pumping conditions, we have really high pressures there, 330 plus. It's pretty standard that a pump is only going to last that long under those
So
pumping
about
conditions.
10-ish year life. Okay.
Wayne and Pump Repair Service saying 8 or 9, so we got quite a few years out of
Okay,
this
all right,
extra.
yeah, so all right, so I guess that, all right, doesn't make sense.
But a typical, low head well pump should last 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
but
that's kind of what I'm wondering. It just seems like the
That's low head
frequency is-
conditions.
Okay, all right, that's a good explanation. Thank you.
Sure.
I did my maths and came up short, so I see 153K as the total, and I see 70 for the new pump, or whatever, yeah, spare pump, excuse me. But I got 4 pages of numbers, and I can't figure out how to make them add up to
Okay, so
153.
If you go to Exhibit C, new spare pump, the front page was a rebuild quote. I don't know if that's the number that's throwing you off. And then on
No,
the
I'm,
Okay.
back of Exhibit C,
69.
you will see the 69,513 for a new pump.
okay, the 69,513 is the back page, page 2 of whatever, the very back.
Very last sheet.
The last of the 4 sheets. And then before that's 44, and then there's one for 66, and then there's one for 16, but they don't add up.
Right, the 44 was an option that we didn't
Oh,
exercise.
so that was an option.
I always like to see what a
I didn't
rebuild's
see-
gonna cost
Okay, it didn't,
versus new.
it didn't say option 1 here, is it there? Oh, there it is. I got
It
it.
does.
I made it, all right. I didn't see option 1.
Okay.
There were 2 options, I didn't see the first.
Do we end
Got
up
it.
with 3 pumps at the end of this, or 2?
2.
Well, we ended
Can I
up with
summarize?
3, 2 operating and 1.
Can I summarize? We had one spare there for emergencies because it's such a long lead time. So we used the spare, we put that in the hole, and now we have to replace the spare in case P2 goes out.
That's so
I see,
funny.
they're not side by side, you have to actually move one pump into the other position.
There's 3 positions, pump 1, pump 2, those are 350 horse pumps. Pump 3 is the 500. So the spare pump will work in either the pump 1 or pump 2 position.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
yeah, so, and we're getting 1 new pump and 1 rebuilt pump.
No.
We're getting, we put the new
Throwing one
pump that was the spare in the hole, it's in operating now, and now we're gonna replace the spare to have, in case there's an emergency again.
With another 500?
Pardon me?
With a 500 horse?
No, it's a 350, it's
Okay.
designed for the 350, so it can go either in pump 1 or the pump 2 position.
The 500 is going into service now.
It's operating now.
And one's joining the junk pile with the piping.
Now, there's guys that cruise around Princeton looking for scrap metal. There's somewhat of a value for it, I mean.
It wasn't worth the effort for us to haul it back to our bin and throw it in our bin and then have someone else pick it up. We just had Pump Repair take it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
That explains it. Entertain a motion or any more input?
I'll move that we authorize the purchase of the pump.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Feldman, seconded by Director Larimer, that we determine that waiving the competitive bidding requirements of Resolution 2016-09 and that contracting on a sole source basis with Pump Repair Service to acquire a replacement spare pump for Crystal Springs Station CSP number 1, P1, is in the best interest of the district, and authorize the general manager to purchase the spare pump for approximately $70,000 from Pump Repair Service Company. Can you repeat that? Oh, no, okay, all right. Could you call the roll and take the vote, please?
Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Cover?
Yes, thank you, James, thanks. And are you back up on the next
I'm
item?
going to stay here for a little bit.
Okay, cool. We like having you up there. You're very, you're very clear
I'm trying.
in your communication. Item D is to authorize the purchase of 100 Clow wet barrel hydrants.
Clow.
Clow, oh, excuse me. The Clow wet barrel hydrants.
So every year, we go out to bid for large purchases, and we've been shooting for 50 some odd hydrants to be swapped out a year at the current schedule. Last year, we did 54. We did great. These are to replace the dry barrel hydrants that are problematic and not really worth repairing. And these are wet barrel hydrants, so the whole barrel is full of water. The dry barrel hydrants are designed for cold climates. Even though we're on the coast, plenty of coastal communities ended up with these hydrants. So we have roughly about 700 hydrants. We've estimated, we don't have a good count, but we've estimated about 350 of them to 400 are actually dry barrel hydrants. So when we went out to bid, we received the low bid from Robinson Bruin in Redwood City, and we got a great price, so we called and asked, and he said that Clow had a pricing discrepancy, but they're going to honor it. And then we said, well, can we buy 100 then? So the price difference per hydrant is $735.
Wow.
So with tax, this is a savings of $80,000
Wow.
by buying 100.
Wow.
We even asked if we could buy more, and Klaus said
Will
no.
they still sell us material next year?
They will, but at a higher price.
Yeah, I got a feeling.
Yeah. So the price is going up. I think this is a great opportunity to save some money on hydrants. And we're looking to have you authorize the general manager to purchase 100 Clow 2065 bronze wet barrel hydrants for $308,522.
You know, where's the fire department representative coming and thanking us for doing this?
They're out fighting fires.
They ever send us a thank you for? Because there was a time early on where we took over the maintenance when early in 15, 16 years ago, we took on the maintenance of the fire hydrants from the fire department, I believe. Yeah, I'm seeing a head shaking yes. So that'd be nice to get a pat on the back, a thanks, I don't know. Free.
They're very happy about this.
Okay, well, all
They're
right, I
thrilled.
feel better now, thank you.
Ari and John Riddell are very happy
Good,
at the pace
okay.
we're doing this and the areas that we're doing it in.
Yeah, belt buckle, there you go.
And they still help us with fire flow tests and
Okay.
some of the minor maintenance on the hydrants.
Yeah, because this is.
Making sure they
this is
operate.
a significant number, and,
That's a big number.
yeah, cool, okay, thanks, that's all I.
Sure.
These hydrants, as used, they deliver them as requested? They don't deliver them all at once?
We believe that the vendor will store some for us,
I was
but we
gonna
have,
say,
we have
where do you
some
put
space.
100 hydrants?
We have some space in mind that's
You have-
secure.
You have a place to store
We do.
this volume of, okay, just checking it. It's a lot of hydrants.
It is.
How
Like a
long
room
will
in
it take
in your
before you
garage.
use
Yeah,
them?
room in your
2
garage.
years?
It'll probably last us the next couple of years.
Nice.
And they won't deteriorate.
Are these
in the
capital? I'm
meantime.
sorry.
No, these are actually brass hydrants. In the past, we've used cast iron hydrants.
Well, they're better.
And they do not, yeah, they do not,
Folding factor.
the cast iron doesn't last very long.
Good idea.
We put a new painted one out in Miramar, and I guess in a couple of years, it was
What's the
already just
Feldman factor?
red rusty color. So we've been switching to the brass hydrant bodies.
Nice.
Should last a lot longer.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Entertain a motion?
Interesting.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Larmer and seconded by Vice President Michelson that we authorize the general manager to approve the purchase of 100 CLOW 2065 bronze wet barrel hydrants for $308,522.
40 minutes in.
Please, roll.
Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Cover?
Yes. Thank you very much, and I know you're up on the next item.
One more.
Because you're the truck purchasing
Yes,
guy.
yes. So we've got about 4 high-mileage vehicles that are close to 10 years old. We've selected 3 that are causing, they're a lot to maintain right now. One actually lost a reverse in it, so We can only go forward, we can't go backward in that one. It's really difficult to
That might
park.
be a good thing.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I mean, that could be our motto.
Yes. So we budgeted 40,000 for trucks this year. Takes a lot of planning.
Just the supervisor should drive over.
So we went out to bid. James Ford, the local dealer here, was the low bidder. He actually thinks he can get these in a couple of weeks, which we'd be thrilled to have. We budgeted 40,000 for trucks this year, but we would like to buy 3, just due to the need and the high maintenance cost that we've been experiencing. And then after we purchase these, we'll only have 1 truck that's the 2008.
Great.
So
Can you tell James Ford that we're really pleased to be able to buy locally?
absolutely.
Yeah,
That-
it's usually been
that means a
ceremony, I
lot to
think,
us,
in the past.
But
yeah.
we've been going to bid on trucks, I mean, I've been around it way too long, and they lose every single time.
Yeah, it's a first.
And it's so frustrating because we want to give them the business, and they're
Right.
right there if we need service.
Right.
And it's so frustrating, and if you could just please tell them how pleased, at least for me, how pleased I am that we can really purchase locally. It's, I'm just so excited.
You know what I
Absolutely.
did notice on our trucks that are doing the service, I think it was one of ours, has the new LED technology lights, safety lights, flashing lights. Is that, who's doing that work? Are we installing those ourselves, or is
No,
that?
we have an installer, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
Okay, so,
Local guy comes out, does it right here in the yard.
that was my next question. Yeah, and so that's great.
Great, clean installs.
Yeah, so now with the LED technology, you see, police cars pull you over, not that they pull over, but they can light up from every part of the car. So I noticed one of our trucks on the side of Highway 1, which can be very dangerous, and boom, it immediately caught my eye. So is that relatively new that we've done that, or I just had?
I think Davis started that about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, I did just.
Yeah.
Well,
And
good.
Darren suggests that we actually go to a directional light bar that will do flashing and
Yeah.
can tell people to go to the left or the
Yeah,
right.
that's a great feature, because our guys are working in dangerous
Yes.
conditions, so it totally makes sense. Cool, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
These are the Ford aluminum trucks.
You get it?
They are.
Don't dent the bed.
Motions, other input?
I move to approve this purchase.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been moved by Director Feldman, and that sounded like a second.
Yeah.
From Vice President Michelson, to authorize the general manager to approve the purchase of 3 new replacement fleet trucks for $81,702 from our local provider, James Ford. 1 4x4 F-150 Super Cab, 2 4x2 F-150 regular cab. Could you please take the vote?
Sure. Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Coverdell?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank
James.
you, and I'll be sure to let Jim Brandt know your appreciation.
Please, honest, I
Absolutely.
can't tell you how pleased I am about that.
And it's nice to just go right down the street to pick them up. We can almost
Oh,
walk
my
to
God.
pick them up.
Yeah, if something goes wrong, I mean,
service.
it's just the right thing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
I agree.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
It's really great. Is it the senior or the son?
Senior's still working there, son is also working.
But is the son,
Jim Brandt.
yeah, with the senior?
Senior.
Oh, yeah, good,
Character.
yeah. I wouldn't want to make a comment like that publicly.
A good character.
There you go. Okay, so F, now we're to really debate, no, we're not. It is our need to appoint an agency-designated, 2 agency-designated representatives for labor negotiations between the district and the candidate for the general manager position and unrepresented employee. Comments?
Just
It's
give us
pretty
the way I think.
straightforward.
It's pretty
I don't know
straightforward.
if
This
we-
is just required.
I don't know if we need an introduction to it or not.
Yeah, so,
okay.
I think it'd be good just for people to understand.
Thanks, Patrick.
correct. So you're getting down to being in a position to negotiate with the candidate for your general manager position. There's legal requirements for when you can do that. So for example, you can only discuss compensation and benefits at a regular board meeting. Tonight is a regular board meeting. And so one step in order to do that is for the board to take action to name its designated agency representatives for labor negotiations. So that's why that's on the agenda. So you should, my recommendation is you determine which of the 2 directors you would like to be the agency negotiators, and somebody make a motion to appoint those two directors, and it would be seconded, and then you take action. And that sets up your closed session, which is later on the agenda to confer with your labor negotiators.
Great.
I would like to offer my help in doing this, so I'd like to volunteer to be one of the negotiators, based on a good deal of experience, background in these types of situations, and I think I can bring value added to the table. That's what I have to say.
I think you will be value added. I also would like to volunteer unless, I think you're going to be traveling, so there was a concern if this is going to.
Go ahead,
happen
that's fine,
fast.
yeah, that's fine.
And I don't know
Makes
how
sense to
you
me.
feel about it. I don't want to nix you out of something you might like to participate in, but I also would be willing to volunteer to be one of the negotiators.
Well, I haven't been on the board long enough on this, my return visit here. I feel you guys would be in better shape to do it than I would, so I'm fine with that.
Great. And are you comfortable with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to take an action which needs a motion and a second and a vote.
I propose that you two are the negotiators.
Director Spellman and Coverdell.
Spellman and
Yeah.
Coverdell.
Yeah, you two just doesn't.
You
work.
two, that's it. I like you two. You two have been appointed as the negotiators.
And I'll second that, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved by Director Larimer and seconded by Vice President Michelson that Director Feldman and President Coverdell be the appointed designated negotiators for the labor negotiations between the district and the candidate for general manager position, an unrepresented employee. So if you could take a vote, please.
Director Larimer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
President Coverdell?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, we're very excited moving forward, and, well, we're not that excited because obviously it means that the general manager will be replaced at some point, and I can only say that we really appreciate the service of the current acting general manager, who's done an amazing job for this district, and I'm sure he'll hear that so many times that, you know, he might get a little swollen of thought, but anyway, we thank you very much, and I hope you know that that's
I'm still here.
meant sincerely. Okay, and unbelievably
Still beat 'em up,
enough,
huh?
we're all the way to monthly informational reports, and we're so excited to hear from our Assistant General Manager. Mary, could you take it away, please?
So in recent weeks, we've heard a lot of press from PG&E around the Bay Area television, and then we've had a lot of customer outreach here locally about the possibility of power shutdowns for safety during fire season. So we have had a couple inquiries here, but it is, we want to be, we want to make sure that we're prepared in both talking to our customers, but also internally, we have our act together to be able to address possible shutdowns. So we actually, James, Darren, and I attended the open house on August 1st conducted by PG&E at the Mavericks Event Center. So then we got a chance to meet our PG&E rep in person, and then the next day we had a conference call with our rep. And, he gave us, he helped us with understanding what our the notification protocol would be. For example, they're saying they're going to try for 48 hours. Give us a heads up. It could be shorter than that. And then we also talked to him about understanding the circuits that feed into our facilities, and also just getting a better understanding of what we could expect during a power outage. We are considered to be an essential use customer, so what we were told about PG&E is that they usually turn everybody off, and then they start turning the priority customers back on again. So But, so we're, but we're taking steps now to look at our facilities. We do have permanent generators at Nunes, at our tanks, here at the office. We're in the process right now of getting a design of having permanent generators at Denniston and the booster station. And then we have considered what we can do with Crystal Springs. But one of the steps that we've taken is Darren Sturdivant, our distribution supervisor, has been talking to a number of generator rental companies, and so we're figuring out how we can get portable generators either on standby or actually even located with us, at, like, for example, at Crystal Springs before we would have a power outage. So there, so that's in process. We're also taking, evaluating steps that we would take internally before an outage, making sure our tanks are full and various things. But we do, if it was with, we're talking about this even today, and, we feel that, we can give, for short, power outages, we can potentially give our customers some, some messaging that, we will, that when they turn on the tap, there will be water coming out. We do have, we do have
Be the only
storage.
thing that'll work.
Yeah, have we done an analysis how long we can go?
Right, well.
The way we're currently
we've talked-
situated.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and that will depend on, of course, it depends on demand. We think about 3 days right now at minimum. We think that if the power goes off regionally, that demand is going to drop.
Sure.
Most of the electric valves that run people's sprinklers won't work. You can't run your washer, your dishwasher. A lot of people will probably, kind of hunker down or go someplace else. So we think demand will go down significantly. We plan to, subject to working with these vendors and depending on our success with them, we plan to have a generator installed, a rental generator installed at Crystal Springs by the beginning of the critical period, which is probably beginning of September, mid-September. So we'd have that. If we were not to have that, we still can get, assuming there's water in Pilarcitos, we still can get 600 or 700 gallons a minute out of Pilarcitos by gravity down to Nunes, which has a generator. So we're going to be in pretty good shape for this particular outage. Seems unlikely that we're going to have an outage of more than 24 hours.
That's kind of what I was guessing that was the answer. No, we're primarily a
And
gravity
so,
system.
We've gotten a couple of questions, and generally we can reassure our customers that they will have water. Not everybody understands that the entire system, except for the El Granada Highlands, is basically, well, the El Granada Highlands and Moon Ridge is all gravity fed.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. Are most of the motors that have to be run if we were out of power, are they capacitor started motors so that we don't have to size the generators to start those pumps?
They, in general, yeah, they have, like the big motors at Crystal Springs have,
Super capacitor.
yeah, what do they call them? They have soft starts on them, so they ramp up. Most of our other motors are on variable frequency drives, so that's not a big issue. But we generally have had more capacity than we need. It's buying a little more capacity in a generator when we're putting one in is not very expensive, so we generally have sized them conservatively. And for instance, at Denniston, in our new design, we've thought about what additional equipment we may install and set it and design with some additional capacity.
Okay, I had a couple of questions. At one point, I thought that Pat or someone committed, something was on your nickel that you were going to give us about this whole thing. I don't remember. Was there something that they were going to do for us to help us with the, I don't know, Kathy Grant wrote an article about this whole issue that we saw in the, Glenn Reynolds brought it in about disaster recovery for this kind of thing. Am I? Yeah, I thought you guys had something that outlined things that legally we were supposed to have to keep in mind.
For power shutoffs?
Yeah. No, I'm just,
I recall.
We're at 2020.
Yeah, I mean, eventually we need to, we have a risk and resiliency responsibility,
well, that was my next question. Do we have now
Yeah,
a disaster recovery, we used to call
Yeah.
this, plan in place? Because the only reason, this may not be the only reason we lose power.
Sure.
Because they decide that there's a fire. When it gets hot enough over the hills here in the next few days, 108, 110, we may lose it because they don't have enough oomph to service us. We'd have a problem anyway. And my question is, do we have in place a procedure that tells us the steps we follow to recover in case of that, or what we go through to just keep the water running?
Yeah,
I
we-
don't know, I don't remember.
well, we do have an emergency preparedness plan
Okay.
that James is oversees, but we also, though, we
Okay.
have an obligation, there's a new law that we have to come up with this risk assessment and resiliency plan and a more robust emergency preparedness plan. And that's due to be done, in the 2020, 2021 timeframe. So we need, it's something we're going to be starting to work on.
And the generators that we have, are they diesel powered or gas powered? And do we own a truck full of diesel
We
somewhere?
have diesel up at Nunes, and then we have a small day tank we can truck around if we need to.
So there's actually a tank at Nunes?
Yes.
And at the emergency or at the pump station, we have an emergency generator. How is that one fueled?
They have belly tanks underneath the generators.
And how many gallons of
It depends on the site, but typically there's enough fuel in there to run 24 hours.
24?
And that's under full load, so if the pumps aren't running, that could last 5 to 6 days.
Yeah, thank you.
I have 2 points. I wanted to make another point. One, in 2001, when I first served on this board, there was a huge battle in this community over the size of the Overnata pipeline. And the argument was that the replacement pipe, which was 16 inches going from a pipe that had only been 10 inches in the past, was going to be growth inducing. And sure enough, all the NIMBYs in the community came out and basically sued us and tried to stop that from going forward. And had they won, we wouldn't be talking about just putting power generators on our treatment plants. We'd be talking about having to buy a power generator to make sure that people had water at all. So now 20 years later, it's almost 20 years later, we're seeing the wisdom of following the engineering design, which said, gee, if you guys want to have a fail-safe system, put in a 16-inch pipe. We finally did. It was a battle worth fighting, and here's an example of how it actually saves this community money in the long run to do what the engineering demands, not what the NIMBYs demand.
Two battle-scarred veterans sitting here.
So could we get some, like, shrapnel coats or something for board of directors?
Some ribbons.
The longest electric outage I remember we had at Nunes recently was like 3 or 4 hours. I'm trying to remember. We had one recently. We lost power here on the coastside. What was it?
Up on the hill, we had to go out of power.
How long were you out for? About
Yeah, one of their insulators blew on the tower.
Yeah, so it was like a while. So what I'm hearing is that we think we could withstand a 24-hour outage based on the process we now use and have in place in case there was an outage for that duration. There is a process which you could follow, which would pretty well keep us whole for that period. minimum.
We could withstand a 24-hour outage with everything shut down.
Okay, with the tanks.
Right.
Okay. And 3 days.
While still retaining
Forgot.
about a third of the volume, third to a half of the volume for firefighting reserve.
Okay. No, I just forget what our capabilities were at this point.
So we
All
have
right.
about 8 million gallons in storage,
Okay,
and a demand of 1.5 per day. So, at 4 million gallons before we hit the firefighting reserve,
Mhm.
that's enough for 2-3 days.
right. Okay. well,
And we'll have time,
All right,
we will
sorry.
be spending a lot more time on that subject
Okay.
with the board as we start talking about our tank strategy going forward.
Thank you.
Right. More in your report?
Well, Kathleen is going to be developing some outreach for us, so we'll put some information on our website and perhaps have a constant contact email going out, so.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
I had one more item. We reached a Water Smart milestone in the last couple of months. We now have 13% of our residential customers signed up for Water Smart, which is a milestone that we felt internally that is, that's a good chunk of our customers. So, since we rolled out Water Smart, we have alerted customers on over 1,100 leaks.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I think, it's, our work is very well received. And we get, so,
Great.
Real water savings.
real one.
Real-
I talked to a customer just today, he said he's driving his whole family crazy with it. Saving water at every turn. Won't let his wife shower over 7 minutes. Yeah, he was very proud of it.
Well,
I was trying to tell him about it, happy wife, happy life, and it just wasn't going. No, congratulations. I think you and the staff have done an amazing job of implementing, educating, and really, watching the misuse of water in the district. It's fantastic. I'll be really proud of it. It's really great.
Yep, we're excited, so.
Now, Kathleen, since we mentioned your name, do you want to jump ahead of Mr. Durbin and carry on, or shall we bring him up first?
I'll allow him to go first.
Mr. Durbin, would you like to give us the superintendent report, please?
Come back. Another busy month. We are down to 25 MTUs left to install, I'm happy to say. We've been working hard on that, so hopefully we'll be 100% done, which is a big milestone for the whole district. Did some work on the tank hatches at Half Moon Bay Tanks and Denison Tanks, metal painting, priming, installing new hatch gaskets, and we actually pulled the center vent off of Half Moon Bay Tank 2, took it over to powder coater over the hill. They powder coated it, and we put it back in, so it should last a long time. Repaired a couple leaky services on Myrtle and Pine. The sources for August were Denniston Reservoir Wells, Pilarcito Lake, and Crystal Springs. Obispo Road pipeline extension is almost complete, should be done this week. They just need to do another set of back-T samples and they can tie it in. I updated you on the clay valve pump control valves and pump 1, so I'll skip that. Bell Moon pipeline replacement is about 50 to 60% done. They should be done with their night work this week. Staff has been basically volunteering to do overtime, do inspections at night. They've all kind of pulled together and taken turns. Darren even took a couple shifts, so that's been real nice. It's been a difficult private road to go down. There's all kinds of conduits and other obstructions. But after about a week, then they should be maybe 3 weeks out.
Wow.
Casa del Mar PRV project, we're waiting for Caltrans permits. I got a call from Caltrans today, called her back several times, they've not gotten a call back, so stay tuned.
Shock.
The vaults are not due to be delivered until September anyway, so I think we're doing okay there. Ferdinand Pipeline started today. Contractor met with EKI and I and Darren and started potholing to look to see where the gas mains are, make sure that we got good clearances there. Denison Generator Project, final plans and specs should be in October, and I should have a procurement spec in the next week or so we can go ahead and order those generators because there's quite a lead time on generators right now. So we were going to procure them and then hire a contractor to install them.
Great.
You got any questions? I'm here for you.
Thanks, I think we'll let you sit down.
Thank you.
I'm out of water.
We can work that out. We've got 3 days supply backup. Don't worry. Yeah. And Kathleen, we've been waiting for your report.
No, not as exciting as, aerial surveys and, and pipe replacements, but I just wanted to go back to the Water Smart, and I just wanted to say one thing that I think it's much more successful than even I anticipated, and I think largely that's due to Vicky, who's really has done a really good job reaching out to customers and trying to convince them that they have a problem and they might want to fix it to prevent a high bill. Yeah. So yeah, she's doing a really good job, and I think that's really helping create actual water savings that we can measure and that actually help the customer, avoid high bills. So that was my 2 cents on water.
Well, please tell her for us that we really appreciate her dedication and enthusiasm and working on making sure that it's successful.
Thank you. Yes,
I
will.
really appreciate that.
Yes, excellent. So my informational report, just wanted to give you an update on what the state calls monthly water conservation reporting. I'm not sure I agree with that title of it, but that's what they call it. So during our last drought, under the emergency regulations, the state board, water board, required us to do monthly reporting on their drink portal, that they call it, where we gave production, consumption data, population information. We gave them information about what stage of our water shortage contingency plan we were enacting, any enforcement actions we've taken. They wanted all of that information. When the drought ended and the emergency regulations were finally removed, they strongly encouraged the water agencies to continue this reporting voluntarily. So I continued to do it. So we originally started in August of 2014, and then we went to November of 17, where it was mandatory. And so we've been doing it voluntarily ever since then, monthly, and the same information: production, consumption, population, and some other things. And then things we've enacted, like they want to know if we've raised rates, any complaints we've gotten, enforcement about water waste and things like that. So in 2018, there was legislation passed, Senate Bill 606 and Assembly Bill 1668, that actually gave the state board authority to require it monthly. So now they're in the rulemaking process of making it permanent. So it's not going to be voluntary anymore. They had a timeline. We had a kickoff meeting on July 31st. It was just what they call a stakeholder meeting, and where they laid out their timeline for enacting the rules and regulations and getting feedback from the different water suppliers. And then on the second page of my report are the items that they're proposing to require, which was the big question mark for a lot of water agencies. This isn't final yet. They still have to go through all the public hearings, but it looks like it's going to be very similar to what they were requiring before. One new thing is they want the public water system identification number, which they didn't ask for before. Because I think they want to start, and water agencies have warned them against this, is somehow tying this reporting to our annual electronic reporting. But water agencies are trying to convince them not to do that, so we'll see. But so anyway, it's just to update that it's going to become a mandatory thing very soon. And if you have any questions? Yes?
Have they done anything with this data?
They make it public. So anyone can go to their database and find their water agency and see the data that's been produced. And one of the metrics that they use is they have us calculate it, but using their methodology, a residential per capita use. And that seems to be the key thing that,
Yeah.
And
They
do
look
they give us a break on commercial users versus residential users?
no. Oh, well, when you do the residential, you don't include the consumption from your commercial users. So you're just looking at the consumption from your residential users. You're,
We look pretty good, I would imagine.
yeah, we do. We look good, yeah.
How much time is this taking?
I've got it down, as long as they don't change a lot, it probably takes me about an hour a month to do it now. I have the formulas all set up in a spreadsheet, and so I just I can just copy and put the new numbers in, so.
Because, the per person consumption number is, having gone to SFPUC meetings, I mean, it's a race to the bottom. I mean, it was a bragging contest. Well, I used 40 gallons, and I think one person at the meeting got down to like 15 gallons per person in their household. So there's going to be pressure to bear in the future to really, just bring that number down.
Yeah, they want,
Yeah.
the goal is statewide to be, for residential, is to eventually get to, and it may even be lower, but they want 50.
Right, 50.
Yeah, we're below,
Yeah,
we're
residential.
comfortably below 50, but I do see the real rapid environmental factions, they want to drive it down to numbers that are scary.
I've heard 45, that there's some speculation that they think that 45 would be a better number than 50, so, yeah.
And where are we?
Well, right now we're it depends, like,
Season.
how long of an average you take, but right now we're averaging, since we started this reporting, about 55 gallons per day per person, over, the whole few years that we've been doing it.
You have like a 3-month running average or
I
something?
I could do it really easily, but I don't have it right now. So obviously during the summer months,
It goes up.
the average goes up. It depends on the billing cycle. Now, one of the things that is going to help me a lot and help with reporting is we're going to, by the end of this year, have all our customers on monthly.
Yeah.
So it'll smooth out that rise and, so and it'll also link more the consumption with production. It'll be more of the same time frame. So that'll be we'll get better. We'll keep improving on the numbers as we go to monthly.
It'd be kind of cool to have a page on our webpage
Yeah.
that shows all these numbers so that everybody in the community can see where we're at. Since presumably this is a
Well, like we could
environmental friendly.
give a link to the state, since the state's already posting it on
Yeah,
there.
that'd be the best.
Yeah.
Make them follow up on
Yeah. But I think
They're
that,
really interesting.
I think we'll get better, once we go to monthly billing, we'll have better.
it. And when will that happen, do you think?
Actually, it's happening over the next couple months.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I was gonna undo with you.
Yeah.
So by
By the end
December,
of the
we
year,
might
we'll
know
be
that.
all on monthly.
Oh, great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you could maybe have a history. It'd be kind of cool to see it go down.
Yeah, pre-alarm or post-alarm.
Remember, not too much, because we're going to have to raise our
Well,
if it goes down too
yeah.
much.
I wouldn't say comfortably.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
why
how
I saw her shaking
comfortable.
her head, that's the only reason. I
Yeah,
asked.
be careful what you wish for here.
The proposed timeline for this conservation reporting and the inclusion, is that the final or is this under
No.
discussion? This is under discussion.
This is under discussion.
It could change, right?
It could change.
Just, the
Yeah.
stakeholders have given input, said we think this should change, and so at some point it may look different. Slightly.
It could, I don't expect.
Change a lot.
I don't expect it to change a lot. I expect
Right.
they'll probably try to define certain things
Okay.
more. For some areas, and even ours, like really tourist communities, like ski towns and stuff like
Sure.
that, their population fluctuates a lot.
Right.
So
There may be more.
they're going to have like little correction factors that they're going to give us probably and better. So
So
I don't expect it to
It's
change.
a work in process, but it's going to be
I think it'll be very close.
very
to
close to this. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's great.
Thank you for doing it so efficiently. If you're doing it an hour a month,
an hour.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Okay, well, that concludes business with the exception of director agenda items or comments or requested meetings or anything like that. Anything from you guys? Okay, so I'm going to retire this meeting into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, Public Employment, Title General Manager, and item B pursuant to California Government Code 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, agency designated representatives, Director Feldman and President Coverdell, TBD by open session, item above, and with the unrepresented employee, general manager candidate at 8:15 and 8:16 p.m.